Today we have a special guest, Devan.
Hey, so my name is Devan. I'm 30. I'm originally from Canada, Toronto, and I lived in Japan for 7 years now.
7 years.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's been a while.
It has been, but I've only been in Tokyo for about 7 months.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you used to live in Hokkaido.
Yes.
Right?
Good old Hokkaido.
Yeah, so we're gonna cover that part of your story.
Yep.
And also, so when we first met, I found you? You
I think
found me?
so. I don't know. It was online, so I'm not really sure
Yeah.
who sent the first message.
I don't remember. But that was more than 7 years ago, right? At least.
More than 7 years ago.
Yeah.
More like 8-ish.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I remember I was in Tokyo. I was just back in Tokyo.
Yeah.
And then you were getting ready to come to Japan, right?
Yes.
And then we finally met in person in Tokyo. That was 7 years ago, right?
That was 7 years ago,
Yeah.
2017 summer.
Yeah. So for your first job, you moved to immediately to Hokkaido.
Yes,
And
immediately. Like
your job was
being an English teacher for the JET program. And it was great. But the only thing I knew about the place or even the job was one, it's gonna be teaching English, and I have to live in the town. And that the town itself was this small fishing village on a remote peninsula, like hours away from Sapporo. Hokkaido is super beautiful in summer. It's green, skies are clear. It's not like Tokyo hot.
Yeah.
And because I lived by the ocean, we got the sea breeze and everything.
Oh, that's nice. I wanted to ask you, what brought you to Japan initially?
Oh, that's a good question. Every time someone asks me this question, I always have a different answer.
Okay.
Yeah, because there are lots of reasons.
Yeah.
I could talk about maybe, I don't know, that one of my favorite shows when I was a child was Sailor Moon.
Okay.
And that should tell you a lot.
Yes.
And I could tell you that I don't know, that I did kendo and judo. And I love those sort of sports. I like not sports, martial arts is a better word. I love those because I like how, the way your mind and body have to work together. That's why I like kendo and judo, because you have to be focused 100% of the time, which is a lot of fun. And so it's all up to you. Though they're, kendo and judo are Japanese, very Japanese. So they were good introductions to Japan.
Right.
So I guess that's probably the closest answer that I usually tell people when I'm asked why Japan, and it's basically my answer for every interview.
I asked you this before, but you were not studying Japanese.
No, I wasn't.
As university major or something, right?
No.
So how did you prepare that part?
How did I prepare for that? Ooh, I think mentally, I prepared for it by just, two things. One, just accepting that I'm going to be stupid for the next 3-4 years, because you're in a new language, you can't explain yourself, you can't say everything you want to say, and people are just looking at you when you get a really simple point across in a new language. They're just good job, you kind of praising you like they would a 4-year-old who just said mommy for the first time. And the other part was kind of what not to do, because so being a university student, I met lots of people who come to Toronto. Some of them stay, some of them leave. And one thing I noticed is that exposure was really big.
Yeah.
The people who went to talk to people in different cultures, tried different food, tried to work, used their English, those are the ones that grew the most and changed a lot of people. Whereas people who stayed within their same communities and only used if they're Japanese, they only used Japanese, or if they only ate Japanese food because they didn't like anything else, or didn't explore very much, they, I think, got a lot less out of the experience.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, I was like, you know what? When I go on JET, I'm going to just talk to random people. I'm going to go out there, be social, and just talk. And I think that worked well for me.
That's a really good lesson.
And the nice thing about living in a fishing village in the countryside is that like people will remember you right away. It's like a really old style, like here's the town, here is the baker, here is the banker, and here is the English teacher. And I was the English teacher.
Right.
So like I had like a role already that just preset for me. So like it actually, that kind of sounds like, I think in the West, people would be just like, oh, I don't want to be, you know, some prepackaged person. But it was really helpful because it gave me a way to connect to people. I already had like, I didn't have to talk to people as strangers. I talked to them as the English teacher. So I could talk to them, they would talk to me about Canada and ask me about English. So we already had things to talk about. And that's great. Starting from complete neutral is actually really hard.
Were there anything you find very difficult?
Ooh, things I found difficult there. I think the fact that there were no gays.
Oh, right.
Great thing about being in a small town is if you get along with people, if you get along with like the town, it's great. People know you, they like you, they give you gifts, they think of you, and when you know like parties and stuff are happening, you get invited. The flip side is that if you don't get along with the town, you can get shunned very easily.
Okay.
Nakama hazure can be
Yeah.
very easy. And one thing I just decided even before I got to the town, was that I wouldn't be open in a town like that. Because like I know that it's kind of sad, especially like it's not something I'm like proud to say, but like it would have like gotten in the way of a lot of things. And like I feel like it wouldn't like, I don't know, I'm kind of like, I don't want to be friends with people who wouldn't want to be friends with me,
Right.
you know? But like, and if they didn't like something about me, then like, then we're probably not going to be a good match anyways. But like, unfortunately, in a small town like that, it can be more of a matter of survival. And that's something that kind of like, I won't say ate at me, but it's something that did bother me. Like having to like hide that fact and having to even just like, you know, just like, when people are just making like dirty jokes at work, because like my boss, he didn't care. He was like, he would talk about everything at work. So like, I did have to play along with that, and that was kind of hard. I don't know how to say it politely. Not have the whole town hate me. It can be very hard and can be very easy to do. Surprisingly.
Right. So getting along with the people was the priority.
Yeah,
And
that was
being
one of my
open
goals.
is not like really necessary.
Yeah,
situation.
yes, that's a good way to say it. Like being a member of the community was a goal of mine, because again, that was how I would learn more about the culture, learn more about the the language and stuff. I think it wasn't bad. So I tried to think of it sometimes as like, not that I was hiding it, but like it just wasn't this wasn't the audience. These weren't the people to share that with, right? I was still growing. I was still really young, but I had to be a Canadian ambassador. I had to represent Canada. I had to be an English teacher. I had to be all these things already before coming to Japan, while secretly still trying to figure them out myself. Like my identity changed a ton since coming to Japan.
I was gonna talk about that part, because you weren't sure about your sexuality.
No,
when you were in Hokkaido.
No, even
trying to
figure things out, you know, went along with a lot of things. It wasn't until like very recently that I was just like, I think gay is the right label for me. Yeah. And I think like once I did that, like it made a lot of like, it stopped being like wishy-washy about it. Because like sometimes people ask me, what are you? And I'm like, oh, you know, I'm like this, but maybe it's like this. No. Now it's just like, maybe not like 100% only dudes, but like gay is probably the best word for it.
So we're gonna talk about your life after you moved to Tokyo.
Okay.
And especially dating guys here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
And then this part is probably quite different from your experience in Hokkaido.
Oh,
right?
Night and day. Very different.
Right?
Yes.
And then you've been dating a lot of guys.
Here and there.
Here and there.
Sometimes. Maybe.
Quite a few.
Well, I don't know about quite a few. But no, I've been, being social
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about like, is there any difference
Mhm.
between dating, let's say Japanese guys,
Yeah.
and like, people in your country?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question because I think the answer might surprise you. So I think yes, there are things that are different, but in my experience, so I'm from Canada. It's very close, very North American, opposite side of the world. A lot of things were not just different, but the opposite.
Okay.
So like, I think one thing that people really think about when they think about dating in Japan, especially with Japanese people, is that Japanese people are more reserved and shy compared to, people in the West. And I think, there's a lot of truth to that, but there is also some really funny paradoxes in there. Is that like the people who stay in Japan for a long time are usually a lot less Western, a lot more Japanese than most people from back home. And a lot of people who are interested in dating foreigners are a lot more like foreigners themselves.
Okay.
They're a lot more like open. They talk about their emotions more, more confidence. Like it's kind of funny because like I find that like sometimes in these relationships, the Japanese person is more outgoing and the Westerner is a lot more like shy and introverted. I find there's a lot of couples like that in my experience, and I've seen that, and I've found that to be true in some of my experiences too, in my dating experiences. So I think there's that, but also just dating itself in the West, there are stages, but how we move from one stage to the other, there's no set path. Like sometimes it's like you're just dating, but you don't really talk about what you are, and having that conversation can be really hard in the West. You would think that people are really good at talking about these sort of things, but there's like no set formula. And people don't agree on a lot of things, or like what it means to be in a relationship. So I find that like it's a lot more nebulous, a lot more gray in the West. But I find that in Japan, while people are really shy, and while there's some people can be very like, I don't know, they don't seem like very forthcoming with this information, with these kind of topics. When you do have these conversations, I think they're a lot more structured. Like, I find that like I think for like straight people, like usually a girl, if you're dating a girl, the girl wants to know if you want to be like boyfriend and girlfriend by like the third date. And like there's like an actual number of dates. Like you actually have proper dates, you do it this many times, and then you make a decision. Like they, even if they don't say it, usually some people like they want you to say something by this time. And like that's unheard of in the West. Like, and sometimes like in Japan, you have the culture of kokuhaku, right?
Yeah.
Of confessing, love confessions, and like that's an actual thing that like you're like quote unquote supposed to do. I do think that like if you're trying to date a Japanese person, that's probably the best way to do it, because they would probably,
that's expectation.
Yeah, they're expected, right? It's just the culture. Even if they're gay, they're still Japanese, right? If we're in the West, you've got like nothing to work with sometimes. So like, or it's like TV and media, not good basis. No.
No good representation, right?
No, especially for gay relationships. Right?
Maybe not.
Maybe not yet. So I think that's probably those are the biggest differences.
Do you have any like memorable dating experiences in Tokyo?
Oh yeah, definitely a few. Even like just off the top of my head, like I had that quintessential Japanese date where I did a picnic in the park during the cherry blossom season. Yeah, that, it's a park bench. We didn't do bento, so we had like convenience store food and drinks, but like we got to do that together while the sakura petals were flowing.
Sounds very Japanese.
Very Japanese, right? And I felt like I was in Hokkaido. Hokkaido cherry blossoms are usually during Golden Week, so like I was traveling during that time, so never really dating. But like, I just had that experience this year for the first time, and I'm just like,
for the first time.
Yeah, I never went on a cherry blossom date in Japan before, or in ever for that matter. So yeah, I'm just like, holy shit, I'm in Japan. I'm in Tokyo. This is happening.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Did it go well?
Cute. It did go well. It was a nice date. Definitely do recommend. Like if you can. Like the parks are usually really crowded during that time, but like we got lucky, we got a bench. It was so calm and it was so cute. I liked it. So yeah, That was a very memorable
That's
experience
really
for me.
sweet.
Right. One thing that's really interesting about Japan is that, especially for gay people, is that onsen dates are a thing.
Oh.
Because that's something that like I think is
Right.
very particular to like Japan and the gay world.
Mm.
Because how do straight people go on onsen dates? Like, what do they do? Just hey,
Yeah.
like I've done it before with like friends, like with girls, and it's like, oh, see you in an hour.
People do that though.
Yeah, so I guess they can rent like a private bath, maybe.
No. They go to just normal like
Yeah,
super central kind of places,
yeah.
and then they just separately enjoy it.
That's the equivalent of like going to a movie with somebody, like a movie date.
Mm.
Like in general, I find in the West now, people kind of shy away from movie dates. Like movie dates are nice and they can be good first dates.
Yeah.
Something to talk about afterwards.
Mm.
But the problem is you can't connect at all during the movie.
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
like you might as well not have been together. Like, you did two separate things.
Yeah.
And then come back together. And that's what onsens are kind of like for straight people.
Maybe I never thought about that,
Yeah,
but it's
right?
probably similar.
It is. It's a movie date. And I'm just like,
Interesting.
right? And at least if a movie, you watch the movie, you both just watched it, so you can talk about it easily. What are you going to talk about after the onsen? It's just like, oh man, old Ba-chan Hanako, she was saggy. like what? You're not going to talk about anything that just happened.
Yeah.
So you just took a break from each other for an hour. Now you're relaxed?
Yeah.
Nah. Not a great date.
Mm.
But gays, it's great. Like, you can just keep the conversation going.
Mm.
Onsen dates are really good because like you can like get food afterwards. You'll probably be hungry and stuff,
Yeah.
and you are just wanting like alcohol tastes better after the onsen. Those dates are awesome, and good thing about being just two dudes is that you can both go into the same bath and just keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
Right. Even if the conversation might slow down a little bit because now you're just relaxing.
Mm.
But I think onsen dates. Highly recommend.
I never thought about it,
Yeah.
but you're right. That's
Yeah.
really something particular about things you can do in Japan.
Yeah, particular to Japan, particular to like the gay relationships.
Yeah.
Maybe you get a quick survey of what's to come afterwards too. I've also met a guy who I seriously dated at a fundoshi bar.
Oh.
So that's also. If you don't know if that's a that in and of itself counts as a date, but like
little bit questionable.
yeah, but very Japanese
It
dating.
is.
That was something. Yeah, dating in Japan. That's
I am very interested. I've never been
Yeah.
to one, so
Oh no,
no.
it's very It's a good word for it. It's a lot. Let's put it that way. Yeah, it's just a lot of
Okay.
a lot of
of
very stimulating. Let's say lots to take in.
like you described. Local
Mhm.
people wouldn't really go to those like really touristy areas or particular spots, right? But
Yeah.
if you suggest it, people
Yeah.
probably want to do it, right?
Yeah, they'll come with you, and even if they don't have any interest, seeing you with all the interest as the
Oh,
foreigner,
yeah.
like that can it's a whole new energy you're bringing
Oh,
to it.
yeah.
And that could be fun.
It's probably really exciting for
Yeah.
them to see you enjoy it.
Yeah,
right?
I remember when I took my friends to Asakusa like this year. Like we ended up doing a lot of shopping, and one of our friends took us to a used yukata store, and I'm just like, I have a jinbei, but I didn't really didn't really care too much about kimonos and stuff. But it was their first time in Japan, and they're just like, "Whoa, look at this traditional Japanese, all this clothing!" And we were trying it on, and they were super excited. I'm just like, you know what? Maybe I'm gonna try it on too. I ended up buying a yukata that day.
Oh.
You're like, I never would have even thought twice about going to that store.
Right.
It was just me because I've been to Asakusa a couple times now, but like going there with new people with the new energy, that alone makes it fun.
Mm. Next question is, the best part of living in Tokyo as a gay guy. Like, what is the best part?
Even if you don't like fit into, especially a foreign gay person, even if you don't fit into the society very well, like there's still a place for you here. There's still communities, and it's still really easy to live. I think sometimes people worry about big cities being like so many people, but people are kind of closed off and don't really make connections very well. I don't find that to be true in Tokyo. I find people are used to people coming and going a lot, but that makes them a lot more go with the flow.
Right.
And you've got a chance. You're here, you meet this person, you drink with them, you have some fun, and it works. And sometimes that's all it ends up being, but that's not a problem. That's gonna be fun. Being in Tokyo as a gay guy, I feel like there's a place for you.
Right.
Even that's the beauty of Tokyo and just most big cities is there's a place for you, no matter who you are, no matter what you do. There's always that niche, and that's one of the things I just love about being here in Tokyo, Japan.
Doing this kind of interview reminds me of like how much freedom we are given, especially in a city like Tokyo, compared to the small town you were in before. And I think I wanna appreciate that more. Like make use of it more. I think we've covered everything you wanted to talk about.
All right.
So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
If you guys have any questions to Devan, ask him in the comment section. He will probably answer, or he will probably answer the questions, and I will just put the comments for him. I hope, like we said, we could make other videos with you in the future. And thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please give us the thumbs up. All right. Okay. See you in the next video. So bye.
Take care.